Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, but forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. The Lord's Prayer to start things off. I feel like it's been a while since I've just gone out doing a old demon patrol. I don't know if I've necessarily gotten any better at it. Basically, the idea, if you haven't been on one of these with me, is we just basically go out listening and looking for them. Usually it's a listening proposition. You usually hear them first, and then from there you kind of hone in on them, or zone in on them, or hone and zone. I did a video recently with Craig, who was my friend when, he's still my friend now, but when we first became aware of these things and what they were doing, hopping around in people's bodies in the summer of 2017, I was still pretty much, even though I had been studying esoteric knowledge and metaphysical science and occult stuff my whole life, as a student, not a practitioner, I was still pretty atheist, man. Like, to me, it was just like these were dark forces that a lot of our opposition was using. A lot of the people that try to keep you in, our farmers, our world leaders, whatever. But the whole idea of the setup with God versus Satan and some kind of larger spiritual battle, it just didn't click with me. Even when faced with these entities that we first started encountering in the summer of 2017. It took a little while, but I came around, and I had my sort of moment where it all clicked for me. And, it was just, I had to go down on my knees there, basically, and just apologize, so sorry, sorry I turned away from you, He knew I would. He knows the way this place is set up. The whole point of everything, all day long, all around you, from everything you encounter, is meant to keep you from your divinity, from understanding the Lord, meant to keep you from being connected with God. It's always pulling at you. But you can always go back. He wants you to come back. He wants all his children back under his arms, So, what we're dealing with here is different than really anything else that's been traditionally seen in history as far as exorcisms go. Usually, how exorcists talk about having someone being possessed. What would happen is someone would go into a body, they may have been there for a while, it's usually one or two demons, and they'd spend several days or months or weeks or however there, and sometimes it took a long time to get them out. What's happening here is more nimble and more fluid. And I think it's just the time we live in, or, whatever it is. Roger and KC, a guy who I mentioned quite a bit, he has a program where he uses a photo editor where he could bring up the gain in layouts. He'll take these big layouts of areas, these big photographs of areas, these panoramic views. And when he turns up, the gain in these things and whatever he does to bring them out, you can see shapes everywhere, humanoid shapes, and some of them are really tall, and some of them look really nasty, and these are just the things that are all around us all the time. What we're seeing here that's different from a traditional possession is that they tend to jump in and out. If someone's low enough in vibrational frequency, usually this is someone who is angry, depressed, on drugs. You see it a lot with the homeless population. They're able to just zip in and out. Entities are able to zip in and out of their bodies like taxi cabs. We call this dirty energy. Well, I didn't name it that. That's the name in the. That's an industry term. But so they zip around on these dirty energy bands. And like me and Craig were talking about the other day, it was weird because at first we were noticing all these guys talk the same. They all would say the same thing to us. You know, they would use the same kind of language. They would always call me a pig, you know, and it was almost like they were having a meeting somewhere, like at night, where they would all have a homeless guy meeting, and they would be like, here's what we have to do, you know? Who's yelling over here? Some guy yelling at some other guy. I think your friend's deaf, buddy. So it's like how I described it with cops when before they go out for a patrol, how they all sit down on those tables and chairs and they say, all right, tonight or today when you guys go out, look out for this and that. It's like I was wondering, are homeless people having the same kind of meeting? And like, here's the words you use, because they're all using the same terminology and they were all talking to us. The voices were really weird though, as Craig was trying to describe the other day. There's a certain tonality to them, a certain frequency to them, because everything's fucking frequency. So we would encounter people who would continue a conversation that another guy started earlier. We couldn't make any sense of it. Now we understand what was happening. But so what they seem to have the ability to do is move from one person to another. Very much like that what was that movie? Not Wesley Snipes. The other one. The other famous 90s black leading man. Help me. But anyway, with that Azazel movie. Denzel Washington. Thank you. You're welcome. How in that movie it seemed like this thing was just moving from person to person. It's very much like what is going on here. And there's not a lot of stuff on the internet that talks about this. Usually when you look at possession or people being demonically possessed, it's usually centered on an individual and it's over a period of time. And it's usually one or more entities, because you can have, you know, more than one entity in a person, which sometimes can make them even worse, you know. But yeah, this is very different. And I don't know if there's a lot of research about this kind of possession. They seem to be able to go in and out of people at will that are of a specific low enough frequency base. A tattoo artist downtown closed up shop for the night down Chinatown, and he was watching the store from across the street. And this homeless woman was kind of hanging around his store, and he watched her spider walk up the side of the building and into one of his offices. Had to call the cops. He was freaked out by it. He's like, she just looked like a spider, and she just went around the building. We've heard stories like this, how demons can use people's bodies. They overexert them to move and bend in different ways that, you know, people normally don't. Because what happens is they don't know a lot about the human body. They're basically a frequency, and these bodies are like antennas. Okay, so what's happening is they're trying to get their radio station, their frequency, they're trying to broadcast into an antenna that has room for them. So it's almost like when you're in a stairwell and you get a radio signal. Sometimes over here you get it, but down these stairs you don't. You go up the next floor, it's back. So they're constantly trying to fight to get in. And then once they're in there, they don't really know much about how the body's supposed to move. So they just will themselves in a direction and go. And that's where you have a lot of the spider walking things, which, you know, we've heard other stuff like that before about a spider walk. I don't think it's so much a spider walk, it's just however they just pick a direction and they make the body go in it. And the limbs just kind of fill up the spaces of the ground that's going on. It's pretty interesting. But yeah, there's not a lot of research, there's not a lot of information about these kind of jumping in and out of people's bodies kind of possessions that you're having now these days. Especially in cities is the perfect place for it. And, you know, we've encountered quite a bit here, too. And, you know, I don't know if I really exercised any of them. I had some of them flee bodies on me, like leave, and I've I think some of that has to do with the fact that I have a camera sometimes, and other times they'll talk to me for a while. About a month ago, I had a video I did of a woman who was had demons in her, more than one, or maybe just a strong one, who was just laughing at me like, fuck you. And I was even evoking the name of Jesus Christ, and nothing, you know. So, you know, that happens too. We get them in there, and maybe I'm not like experienced enough to know how to do something about it, but I don't know. So I've had success on a scale, or really not success at all, but I've approached people, and by the time I walked away, the entity's not in them anymore. But I don't think that had a lot to do with me. I've looked at different things. I've tried to find different Bible passages, but it's just such a different thing than a traditional possession, that, you know, it's like a whole different kind of way to work. They're jumping in and out of people that they're able to jump in and out of. I mean, so, I don't know. So basically what I do is I just, I listen for them, you know, because the sound is usually the first thing you hear. Because it's all frequency, how's your mouth doing? It's all frequency, and the kind of band of frequency they're on, you can kind of hear it, because, I mean, mostly they're usually carrying on. These people that have these entities in them are usually screaming and yelling about something, and you'll hear like a Latin term every once in a while thrown in there. Or they'll be going on and on about pigs. Like, for a while I was like, why are they always calling me a pig? They call everybody a pig. Now, I think that may have to do with the pig story in the Bible where Jesus cast the demons into pigs. I think it has something to do with that. I'm not really sure. But, and if you didn't know, right, and you see some guy ranting about you, you probably think he's talking about cops, you know? I mean, because, you know, that's what the modern, you know, term for them is. But yeah, they say a lot of the same things. Some of them can speak better than others. It depends on how much control of the body they have. And even that goes down to walking. There was one time out in front of my house where I encountered one who then approached Nia not too long after. I think they were just trying to scare me. Like, look, we can talk to her too. That's the only time they involved her in anything. And when I first saw them, before they talked to Nia, they were walking up the street. It was in a woman's body. She had a very tight dress and high heels on. And I was looking at her coming up, and I was like, that lady, was she never been in heels before? Because she was like, it was like a dude wearing heels for the first time or something, or someone's never worn them. She's kind of stumbling around and trying to walk on them. And I just thought she was drunk until she got by me, and I could hear her. She's like, making the kind of sounds they do, you know? Or some of them do. And she looked at me, and it only clicked a few minutes after she left. And then she encountered Nia, and Nia said, she came up to her and said, you should be careful out here because they can get you. And that kind of made me mad, because it was like, you know, stay away from my woman, motherfucker, you know. But she's never had a thing like that happen again. And get across here. Yeah.
Whoa, this is not a park. This is not a crosswalk. Not a crosswalk, guys. Not a church.
Yeah, people don't understand like the way it works here in Hawaii with the crosswalks. Like, they're really strict about it too. Like, you gotta wait till the little white figure comes up on the thing to go. It's the only city that kind of has the well, because of the tourist area, you know. They're usually very pedestrian first, and there are of course those people who think might makes right still, and if they're in a car, they're gonna go no matter what. And I've had that happen to me. I don't know if I ever mentioned it before, but I've been hit here by cars 3 times. Yeah, I don't think I ever brought that up. Because you can do whatever you want, to try to keep some kind of laws in place, but there are some people that just don't into society very well and never will. And you have to keep those kind of people in mind when you cross the street. But yeah, so when people come here, like from just visiting, they just assume, like, you know, why wouldn't they assume it's like everywhere else? They wait until they see a break and then they go on across the street. But it's not like that here. They won't give, I've gotten tickets for that because I didn't go at the exact right time. They usually don't ticket, help me, tourists, because they know they're getting on a plane and going somewhere else. But if they know you're a resident and you don't look like you're related to them, you'll get all the tickets. And that's why in the past I've gotten all the tickets for various things. Smoking here is a crime if you do it in the wrong place. So you got to go to criminal court. I've had to do that. And I wasn't in the wrong place, but they just said I was in the wrong place because I was close enough to it and they probably needed to meet their quota. Yeah, so you got to keep your head on a swivel out here. So almost that long, my daily old man pilgrimage, and I'm going to come back through and listen for any activity. It's been kind of quiet tonight. There's not a lot of people out. We're coming up on Halloween here, though, and Halloween is the busiest night on the island as far as tourism goes. Every year it is. It's the biggest night. So me and Craig talked about going out and doing something just to film stuff. If anything, there's like hundreds of half-naked women out here on Halloween. Halloween's so funny with girls. They're like, I'm gonna be a rabbit. It's like, well, but you have no pants on. I'm gonna be a fairy with no pants on. I'm gonna be a shark. Oh yeah, yeah, but the shark has no pants on. What are you gonna do? Our degeneracy we've slipped into. I'll just have to document it, you know. Don't blame the teacher, blame the school.